Hey. Hello, everyone. How are you? I pray that this Wednesday is going well for each and every one of you, that you're winning your week like a champion, and that you have victory over the devil in every area of your life. Today is a special Facebook Live, which I'm doing from my own account, and then we're on Periscope under my daughter's account, Michaela M. Cephas. And so we wanted to share part of our story about a mother's love, since my daughter is actually starting to get on and talk about her season of depression and suicidal thoughts. And so today we wanted to talk about when we first found out that she was pregnant. Well, when she found out that she was pregnant, because I didn't know nothing about it. But we wanted to share our story to bring some hope to those who may be facing the same types of situations that we had to face in regards to when you send your child off to campus and a college campus, believing that you sent them off one way and then they come home a whole nother different person. And so we wanted to share our story on today in regards to it. And we'll go ahead and get started. So if you're following me on Facebook Live, if this is your first time ever following me, I am Prophetess Keisha L. Cephas. I am the author of Pray That Through, which is a prayer manual on prayer and intercession, along with some crushing programs and so forth. And you can always go to KeishaLcephas.com and you can find information about my products and services. And then you have my daughter here, who is Michaela M. Cephas, and please go follow her on all of social media, on Instagram, on Periscope, as well as on Facebook and Twitter under Michaela, Makayla M. Cephas, and then you can get to know her as well. But for today, for those of you who are following me on Facebook Live, if you can go ahead and share. Hey, Laura, if you could go ahead and Taisha, hi, Miss Kennedy, God bless you. If you could go ahead and share this Facebook Live with all of your followers, that'll be perfect. The best seed that you can give us on tonight are seeds of hearts. And then for your people, go ahead and greet them on Periscope.
Hello there, Periscope. My mom done did a wonderful introduction.
But let them know how they can follow you, and to go ahead and share on Periscope with all of your Facebook.
So I don't have a Twitter.
Hey, Arian.
But I do have an Instagram and a Facebook. My Facebook name is Michaela Cephas. On Instagram, it is Michaela M. Cephas. So you guys can go ahead and follow me, and also make sure you share this as well, because I want to reach everyone who also connected to me personally and who is afraid to speak up on their experience.
All right, go ahead. Let's give some hearts and let's give some thumbs up. And so the purpose of this is, hey, I sent my daughter off to college. It was in 2015,
yes.
Correct? 2015. We had this big trunk party for her, and it was amazing. Hey, Arian. And right before she went off, we had got prayer from her, from my spiritual father and my mother and my mom, and so many of us was in the office. And I remember Apostle giving her this prophetic word, but it came with a warning. And in the warning, it said, hey, if you follow God and you do what you need to do on college campus, you're going to be this entrepreneur, you'll be this businesswoman. I see you on billboards, you're going to go far, you'll be in the nations. He said, but I want to warn you about a God that's on this football team that you are going to encounter. Stay away from him. And I'm thinking, oh, what football guy could she be staying away from? Because the guy that she's actually dating at this time was from her high school. They were high school sweethearts, and he was going to college too. But I have totally forgot that he was on a football team. But I'm thinking, hey, new experiences, new people, new environment, that she will come into meeting new people, and she just needed to be aware. And Apostle was like, and if you get entangled in this relationship, you'll be coming home sooner than you think. And I'm thinking, why would she be coming home? It's just a date. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think nothing of it, because we're getting ready to have this big trunk party. So we leave and we played the prophetic word all over again, and we kind of prayed over it, and we just get into, hey, it's celebration time. She's going off to college. She's the first one in our household to go away to school, and we are excited. And so we party, and we have this amazing trunk party. Everything she needed was provided. So we get her to the college campus. campus, and hey, I leave my child there. There was a rip and a tear in the heart because I never been away from her that long, and 3 hours away, and she's the baby of them all. So she's the baby of the three, and I'm like, okay, God, I'm weeping over this child. It seemed like every day I'm weeping over my child going away to this college campus, and I didn't understand why was I weeping over my child when we already prayed, we blessed her, and we did so many things, and there was nothing that she was in need of. And so to me, I thought I sent my baby away as a virgin. And so when I sent her away, I thought, hey, she's a virgin, she'll be kept. We forewarned her and training her since she was 3, giving her powwow talks, and telling her, you flee fornication. She know Bible, she know how to pray, she knew how to stay away from certain relationships. So we're good. I always told her I was a coach in this game with her, that I will not be like a Jezebelic mama who trying to control my child's life, because when you do that, then you end up pushing them into an arm of a lover that they should not be in. So I'm like, you know what, God, I got to trust you with my child. So I just said that I'll be a good steward over what he has placed in my care, which is my daughter. And so finally she get off the campus, and what happened when we drop you off?
Okay, don't say it like that. Okay, so when she, they left or whatever from dropping me off to campus, I was involved in a lot of parties, although I was still productive on campus. So I was like sexually active way before then, but of course she didn't know that because I hid it from her. I scheduled times where me and my ex would link up, and then when it was time to graduate, we decided that we were going to go to college together. We had it in our minds that since we started this together, we were going to finish together. But once we got to college campus, things started to happen way too fast. On September 30th is when I found out that I was 6 weeks pregnant, and I was already drinking, and I was in parties. I think I felt something different with my body is when I tried out for the dance team. And I couldn't get the dance moves right. Like any other time, I'll be out here getting it. But I'm just like, okay, my body is way too sore. So I'm like, okay, I started Googling symptoms. And, of course, I thought I was going to die. But I started, we had a close campus clinic where I called in and they said they couldn't answer any questions. I would have to come in. So, of course, they made me pee on a stick, and then it came back positive. And my roommate at the time, we were in the room together when we found out, and we laughed because I'm like, this I know God ain't wait all the way until I got to college to bless me.
God, she said,
bless me with a gift. So I'm like, okay. He was just like, since you're underage, I was 17 when I found out. He was like, we're going to have to contact your parents. And I'm like, wait a minute. They already know, which they didn't know, but I was telling him that they know. So he don't have to send out any information. So I quickly called my godmom at first because she's the one that I can run to when I'm feeling afraid to talk to my own parents. So I was telling her, like, God, Mom, I'm pregnant. I don't know how to tell my mom. And, she was just like, I knew it. When we were at your trunk party, I kept saying we were on our way to Put's baby shower.
Yes.
And I'm thinking in my head, like, why didn't you warn me so that I can be a little bit more careful?
Because we thought you were a virgin.
Careful. So that, I can slow down a little bit. But
slow down just a little bit. Not flee it, not stop it.
Just a tad bit. I mean, when you have an ungodly soul tie with someone, that lust it's real.
It's real.
You don't want to hear...
Stop.
Yeah.
But did you also felt like you couldn't have children? That was your story to me.
That was a different one because... you feel I've been with this man for years, and with us having unprotected, sex or whatever, it never came across of a pregnancy scare or anything. So I get on campus
and have the time of her life, honey. I'm thinking, hey, listen, we dropped her off, and the girl is not active, is what we think. And so, of course, you just trust God because she has never broke trust with me. So I didn't think hey, she's going to be out drinking, partying. I never lived on a campus. I heard about campuses, but I trust her. She never broke trust before. And so I didn't want to be this mama that's just like all over her, because listen, people going to do what they do. One thing I know for sure is that if you want to do something bad enough, you will find a way to do it. And so when she came up pregnant, it was on a Tuesday. We was in corporate prayer, and I remember seeing my best friend Carolyn run out of prayer. She said, because I had immediately shifted and started praying about college students, and I was coming against ungodly soul ties and pregnancies, and I see her shoot out the sanctuary, but I'm thinking, oh, she must have to go to the bathroom really bad. But what I did not know is that she was calling my daughter, because I always told my children, if you cannot come to me, I always gave them a go-to person, a person that I know that have their best interests at heart to go to. And hey, I know they'll bring the information back, but at least you got it out. And then that way, this person can give you godly counsel, so that way you will be safe, because the Bible says in a multitude of counselors there is safety. She ran out, and what I did not know until after we found out about the pregnancy is that she went to go call my daughter, because she knew that day that my daughter had told her that she was pregnant. And she went and called and said, I'm scared. You have to tell your mother now, because I think she tracked you in the spirit, and she's probably tracking you and getting ready to call you. She knows something because the way she's in here praying, and I don't want to keep this from her any longer. And so I'm at home washing dishes on a good Wednesday, minding my business, baby.
I was scared because my mom is literally my best friend. We talk about pretty much everything. So when it came to telling her that I was pregnant, I couldn't picture myself on the phone saying, Mom, I'm pregnant, after she had no clue that I was already sexually active. So I decided, okay, let me send her a quick text message. And I said, hey, Mom, I'm pregnant. I'm due at the end of May. Please don't be mad at me.
That was the text. And my friend is calling me at the same time as the text coming through. And I said, huh? So I'm looking at the text, and I'm on the phone, and I'm like, wait. I said, Carolyn, my baby's pregnant. I'm calling your name out. Carolyn, my baby's pregnant. And she was like, friend, sit down. And I broke. And I said, how could this happen? Because I already had one child who ran away from home at the age of 16 and came back pregnant. I saw that in a dream. I saw that in a vision. I prepared my heart for that. I even went on a fast for that. But when this one blindsided me, because I'm saying she saw her sister, she saw her impact the entire family with this baby, and then you gonna text me and tell me that you're pregnant? I couldn't believe it. I took it personal. And she kept saying, friend, stop crying. And I said, I don't get it. I taught her well. She know the word. We trained her. We imparted into her. How could she do this to us? So now it became a me thing. How could she do it to me? Why would she do this to me? How could she break trust with me? How could she betray me? So I fell to my knees, and I kept asking my oldest daughter, did you know? And of course she gonna lie. She gonna say, no, I ain't know nothing about this, Ma. What? She pregnant? So she playing along with it. And I'm saying, you lying. Like, you lying to me. So I wept. And I called my spiritual parents. I called my friends, and I let them minister to me. But in that moment, I couldn't hear nothing. Everything was cloudy. My judgments were cloudy. My heart was broken. And I just felt like, how could she do this to me? And so I wept for 2 hours. 2 hours. I didn't come out. I didn't get up. And God said, hey, this is not about you. This is about a journey. And this is about her relationship with me. And if you respond to her anyway outside of me, she will not come to me and have a relationship, because she'll think that I'm a God that punishes her, who will not forgive her because of her mistakes, her flaws, her slips. And I'm like, but God, I trained her. He says, you're still a coach in this game. You are to love her in this moment. And she kept saying, she kept texting, but I wasn't reading any of the text because I was so caught up in my feeling. And God kept saying, hey, you can't even call her crying. Just like that Ezekiel, when his wife died, he couldn't weep over it. I couldn't even call her and weep. He said, you're going to have to call her. You need to be sober, and you're going to have to respond like me. She needs to see the Father, and she does not need to see your opinions. She doesn't need to hear nothing about how your heart is broken. She don't want to hear anything about how you betrayed her. So you have to get all of that stuff out now, and then you need to call her. What I did not know is what was happening when you were texting me and I did not respond to you. How did that make you feel?
She didn't text me back, but my sister had already recorded my mom on the floor crying, and it did something to me because I had never meant to intentionally hurt my mom or my dad. Like, it hurted me to tell them that I was pregnant after they done already threw me a trunk party. And then you had a lot of church members who actually came out. It was more people than, friends and family. It was like a lot of church people who invested in me and going away, and they sold a lot of money into my life. They actually helped me, get books and, get supplies, because at first we didn't know what all to get. And then that's when everyone started purchasing things from my room. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to give off the impression that'll make my mom look bad because she's so involved in the church. So I'm like, okay, I can tell my mom, but I know she was going to tell other people, but I didn't want to post on social media. Like, I started to delete my accounts because I was so embarrassed. I didn't even want to tell other family members because I know they'll probably be looking at me like, oh, she spoke so highly of her daughter, and look, a month later, she's already pregnant and trying to return home. I wanted to return home because I was already going through some things by myself. Like, I felt alone. And then when my mom, she wasn't responding to me, I'm just like, okay, I betrayed her, so now I feel alone. And I was like, okay, the first thing that came to mind was get an abortion. So I cried and I cried and I cried. I couldn't eat. And I was so stressed out, and I'm like, okay, let me just make me an appointment. And that's when my dad called me right after I made an appointment. And he was just like, it's not about you anymore. Stay strong. It's okay. Don't do anything. You can't get rid of it. And I just didn't understand why was it that he wanted me to keep it, but my mom showed a different emotion. Like, her crying out to God and asking her, how could I betray her, and how could I be so careless, and I was irresponsible. I'm just like, that's just too much. I'd rather just get rid of it and focus on school and be responsible this time. But I think I called, it was like 2 weeks later, me and my mom had, we came to the conclusion that she, to keep it and, just I'll be all right. So I was going through something emotionally, so I decided to come home. She told me to stay and
finish out your course. But
I had already canceled my classes.
Seriously, canceled her classes. I did not know, but let's back up, because when the 2 hours that you were texting me, I didn't know that she was really texting me because I was outside of myself. And I did not know that my oldest daughter had recorded this conversation. I just found that out when I read her book today, because she completed her book today. And today I did... Yay for you.
It'll be ready December 7th.
December 7th, but she completed her book today, and so she wanted me to read the book and just kind of proofread. And so I was reading the book, and I'm going through, I'm like, it was recorded? I just found out the kid wasn't a virgin today. I didn't know the girl wasn't a virgin when we sent her off to college. I just found that part out reading her book today. But she didn't know that I was crying out to God. But I ended up calling her back 2 hours. I think you were you at the clinic for the abortion? What were you doing?
I was getting a checkup, but I was going to get the abortion. But my father had already
talked her out.
To me.
He talked to her, but he didn't know that he was actually talking her out of the abortion. But the thing is that was imparted into her because it was a spirit. My mom wanted to get rid of me when my dad didn't want me, and she tried to abort me 5 times. She took 15 pills total, then she got a shot in her bloodstream to abort me, and then she actually got on the abortion table, and they told her that she was too far gone to get rid of me. When I found out that I was pregnant with her, I had already made an inner vow in my heart that I would only have one child. So when I found out that I was pregnant with her and my baby had just turned 1, I had set up an appointment to abort her. So you see how them spirits was already, a murdering spirit was already inside of me, because my mother tried to murder me, and then I tried to murder her, and then she was going to murder her son. And so we had to cut that thing off. And so what she did not know is that I was crying to God because I needed language for that moment. And I started thinking about me, like what the church people gonna say, and look at me, she's a prophet in the church, and now she can't govern her own house well, and everybody came out, and her family, look at the family, like she kept her kids sheltered, and she always got the best of things for them, and she didn't allow them to do this or do that, and now she done went off to college, and look at her now, she got pregnant. So what I did was, when I finally got off that floor and sobered up, I had to minister to my daughter, and I had to speak to her future and the future of that child. And I began to see her in God's perspective and not my own. And I had to get over my emotion in that moment, and I couldn't show it in that moment. But it was months before I stopped weeping over it. But I had, in those moments, I did not cry in front of her. I didn't say not one negative word to her. I told her, when we get to this church, because eventually you got to come home, I said, when you get to this church, you better not walk with your head held down. You better walk with your head held up. And if somebody say anything to you that's negative, you don't even have to go to battle for that. That's what mom and daddy will do for you. And I told her, if a family member say something to you, I'll check them in a heartbeat for you. You don't have to worry about that. I told her, hey, many of us been fornicating. We just didn't get caught up. And I said, so for this, hey, you have repented. This is going to be a blessed baby. It's coming into a blessed home. And I say, there'll be no regrets, no disappointments, no failure, no shame, no condemnation. I say, and what you need in this moment from your mama is a coach. What you need from your daddy is a father. And I said, and that's what we'll be. And so she on campus, and I'm thinking she's staying, and ding dong fire drill. We hear something coming through the door, and I'm like, well, everybody in here that's supposed to be here is in the bed. It is 3 a.m. Who can be coming through the door? So my husband get up. She done came off the college campus, child. Done drove 3 hours home. Done came off the college campus, and all her stuff. She has moved completely out the campus. Don't just left everything, and the boy. Don't left the boy on the campus. Don't left the roommate on the campus. Don't left the bill on the campus. And baby girl said, I ain't going back because I'm not happy.
I wasn't. I was in my room literally. Once I found out that I was pregnant, I started pushing everybody away. Like, my roommate didn't even come in the room. She had already moved out. And then concerning me and my ex, like, we had got into a big altercation that night, and it was over something so small, but because I was so emotional, I took it to heart. And I'm just like, you know what, I need to be around love. I miss my mom. I know she'll be the one who continues to check on me, and I miss food. Like, everything on campus was closed, and I was so hungry, and that made me even more depressed. So I'm like, okay, I text my cousin, and I'm just like, is it okay if you can come get me? And it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and she was like, it's late, what about in the morning? I'm like, no, I need to go now. Like, I'm already packed. If you could bring a couple of more totes from Walmart or whatever store you pass by, that'll be great. But I'm ready. I had everything packed up in garbage bags. I went downstairs and gave them their key. I said, y'all won't be seeing me anymore. And I left. I knocked on the door and moved all my stuff into the living room. She looking like,
oh, so this is what we doing?
All of this for the weekend?
I'm like, is this a weekend stay?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you think it is.
Whatever you think it is, Mom. And I was like, so what is this? And she said, I can't go back.
I can't.
I'm depressed. And I'm like, you depressed? And I'm like, why are you depressed? And she was like, I can't go back because, Mom, it's dark to me. I'm in a lot of pain. And I'm like, well, why are you in so much pain? I couldn't understand why was she in so much pain when you got us. We're going to support you. But I didn't know that she was having her own challenges with, like, feeling like she can't finish school. I'm sorry. That she can't finish school. And she felt like she was still a disappointment to us. And she felt like she let us down. And though she wasn't communicating it, it was starting to show up in her personality. And I kept telling my husband I felt like she wasn't herself. And so as she was getting bigger and going through her pregnancy stages, we were so excited. We had this baby shower, but she didn't have any friends. And I'm like, where's her friends? And she still had, the two same girls, but she had more friends than that. And I kept saying she is like she isolating herself, and she don't have, maybe this will pass when she had the baby. But when she had the baby, I noticed that she was so disconnected from the baby. She wanted me to take care of this baby. And I kept saying, I can't take care of your baby. I have a whole job. I can't. He's a crier. And we didn't know what to do with him. My first baby was a crier, but my God, she in her 20s. So I didn't know nothing about it. And I was like, Kayla, you have to learn him. But I didn't know that she was going through postpartum, because that's something that we don't discuss, or it's something that we just don't talk about, or you just think is not real in your family, and you're just thinking it's something that a person would get over. So you have to really have the gift of discernment and know that person, because that person is in pain, and you don't know that crying and just reflecting on you not in school and you not on campus with the rest of the college kids was doing something to her. And so I kept saying, you gotta be a mother. You're a mother now. But it was deeper than just her being a mother. She was emotionally disconnected, not just from her child, from everybody. You want to talk about that period of your life?
When you find out you're pregnant, you have those friends who say that they are going to support you, but then when you get further along in your pregnancy, you start to see people true colors. And the comments that some of my friends will make, like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not a baby mama, or I'm so glad I'm still on campus, it's lit. I can't imagine just sitting in the house and depending on a man. And it's just like I was battling with a demon by myself, because I will go back to when I said you having an ungodly soul tie with someone. Me being with this man for so long, and he turns around and, we get disconnected because he felt like he wasn't ready, and he felt like he was too young. And I'm just like, we the same age, and if I gotta grow up, you have to grow up too. And I'm not trying to, come at him for the decision that he made. But I was just so confused, and I'm like, we better than this. We've been dealing with each other since high school. I've never stepped out on him. I confided in him like he was truly my best friend. We talked about everything together. We done everything together. We talked about life together. So for a baby to come about that'll make you run away and you want to be with someone else, and I just had your child, it made me feel some type of way. And I was so angry, and I admit that I was miserable and bitter, because when you see someone that you're in love with fall in love with somebody else in a short period of time while you just had their child, you want to fight. You want to talk to that person. So I act like I was the FBI agent, and I'm going through pages, and I'm going on Instagram trying to find out who he's dealing with, because right after I had my child, his mom had told me, like, yeah, he has a girlfriend. And this was something new to me, because as I was in Chicago working, I was working for the three of us. I was going to work and trying to go to school, even though they kept denying me, saying that I had $13,000
in debt.
I was in debt, and they had a hold on my name. I couldn't enroll back into school, so I had to work. Otherwise, to support, if I wasn't working, then it wasn't going to be a way that I was going to probably survive. I mean, I'm thankful that my mom opened up her home to me and my child, but I don't get when people say, well, you know, your mom wasn't going to let you struggle. Her money is not my money, so I had to grow up and, you know, take care of my own child. That's his life I was responsible for. So seeing him be with someone else in the midst of me being depressed, and I wanted my family back because I watched my mom and my dad, you know, they've been married my entire life, and seeing them, you know, love one another, I felt like I owed that to my child. So I, you know, DM'd the girl, and I was just like, you know what, he just left from my house because we were still active with one another, although he was away at school, and when he come on breaks, that's when we would see each other. I knew nothing about him living a double life. I knew nothing about him having a girlfriend. So when his mom told me that right after I had his child, it was embarrassing, because how do you post that you just had a baby and now you're a single mom? And it felt like he was able to do what he wanted to do, but I was stuck in Chicago. So versus telling everyone, I decided to, you know, deal with it myself. So I'm in a room, and my mom told me, whatever it is you're going through, write it down in your notes. And my notes became a book by itself because I had so much I was dealing with. I was just like, I don't want to have, you know, depression over me. I don't want to think about killing myself. But that was something that I felt like I needed to do. So I'm just like, you know, I don't want to step into church because I knew, although people say they won't judge you, people can be very judgmental. They don't know your story. They don't know what happened. They just take it and they run with it. They just like, oh, she's 17, she's pregnant, she was grown, now she got to deal with the responsibilities. Nobody is about to feel sorry for her. And I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I just wanted someone to hear me out without throwing a Bible at me or quoting me scriptures and laying their hands on me, telling something to come out, and they don't even know what was really wrong with me. Like, I was just battling by myself, and I could be in a room full of people and I would still feel alone. I was just like, I don't want to be friends with nobody. I don't want family in my business. I don't need social media, because when I used social media, I was trying to find out what he was doing, and that was making me even more depressed. And I was just like, forget it. I can just end my life. I had a crybaby. He was such a crybaby, and I was going through so much, and I ended up losing my job over an incident that had nothing to do with me. So I'm sitting in the public aid office, and I'm just like, I give up. And in the midst of me saying I give up, I received a phone call saying that my child's father has been sentenced to prison. So it really made me emotional, because now that you have left me for someone, you turn around and get yourself in trouble, and you really have left me with a child to raise on my own. My son has not seen his father since he was 6 months. My son is 2 years old now, and I'm still raising him on my own until he's released, and hopefully when he get out, he'll be able to help me. So it's just a lot to take on, and then you got to deal with people who make comments and like, you're supposed to be living your life, but you want to have a baby. Like, nobody wants to hear that in the midst of getting better. When you hear things like that, you feel like, if my life isn't important anymore because of the decision I made of not getting an abortion, because I didn't believe in abortions and my parents didn't believe in abortions, then why not just take my life and leave him here with my parents? I didn't know how to handle that situation, and you don't really want to express it to your family, because then they'll look at you crazy, and then they want to put you in the hospital and get you help, and that's not what you needed at that moment. You just wanted someone to care for you personally without beating you up about beating yourself up. Yeah. So it was a lot that I took on, and sometimes I do cry, but because I still cry to this day, because it does become a lot. But I've already said no to depression. I already said no to suicidal thoughts. So I don't even think about going to my dark place, because I already been delivered from it. But it is times where I think like, man, I've came a long way, because before then you feel really low, and then the arguments you have with people because they think they know you because of what they heard about you affects you a lot. It affects you a lot. And I had multiple people coming at me sideways, and I always felt like I needed to defend myself, and I had to learn from that. Every reaction doesn't need a response, and that was hard for me, because I am a fighter, and I'm willing to fight whoever comes for me. But I had to grow up.
Jesus, I'm sorry.
I really needed to get my life together, because I'm better now, so
Yeah.
people's words don't really affect me, and that's why I wrote a book, because it's a lot of people who's dealing with what I went through, and they don't really have the voice to say anything right now. So because I have my voice and I found myself, I'm willing to help others find themselves.
Yeah, but the beautiful part about your story is that when I kept telling my husband that I knew that you were depressed, and you know, we were already going through our seasons of hardship too, so that didn't make it any better, but I was able to locate her heart, and I knew that something was off with my child. So what I did was I told her to write a Dear God letter. And in the Dear God letter, I knew that what she couldn't get out verbally, she'll be able to write it. And so she began to write it, which helped her to express her feelings and get those emotions out. And then I told her, for every negative word, find a positive word and in the Bible and get a scripture to support it, because then that's how you're going to be able to counterattack the enemy that is operating in your mind, and then be able to defeat him in your soul. And so she started getting scriptures to support who she really was in God, and that she was not a mistake, and she was not her mistakes, and she was not her failures, what she sensed to be failure or shame or disappointment, or that sense of this guy using her, or how could he break my heart, and all that stuff that came with it. TJ is a blessing to our entire household. We love him, and we embraced him, and he knows that he is loved. And so for her to be able to come out of that dark space, I know what that looks like, because it was on me too, you know, seasons of depression, and but I smoked mine away. So I thought through marijuana and having a little Hennessy here and a Heineken here and blunts here, and then what I realized is that it really took me into a deep dark place. And it's not until I actually built this relationship with God to actually deliver me from the enemies of my soul that was trying to destroy my future. And I knew that thing was on my baby as well, with those suicidal thoughts, because I used to have thoughts that came to me and say, run your car into this wall, or drive your car off this bridge, or jump into this river, and you know, things like that, where my friend found me on the side of my tub and toilet, balled up, crying. Nobody knew about it but just her and I, because that was our secret. And she'd be like, come on, we just need to go get high. And I'd be like, yeah, let's just get high. But I realized one day that that did not work for me anymore. And the only person that could help me is Jesus, because that's the name that my mother gave me, was if you ever need anybody, if you call on the name of Jesus, he will heal you, and he will save you, and he will deliver you. And she had planted that seed in me, and somebody came along and watered it, and now God gets the increase. So what I did is I took that same seed and I planted it in my baby, and told her that she needed God, and that we done our part, but now it's time for you to work your own faith, and that you couldn't live off mama's relationship anymore, that you had to build your own relationship with God, and that you're not too young to do it, and you're not too young to learn scriptures, you're not too young to live for him, and you're not too young to be holy, because holiness is a lifestyle, and you're not too young for him to deliver you out of suicidal thoughts and depression and darkness and frustration and feeling of a failure and shame and condemnation, that you really can have peace in him and joy in him and strength in him, and you can still have a life in him that is not about the club, and it's not about fornicating and turning up and getting lit. Now you can tell people that your lit life is prayer, your lit life is in devotion, your lit life is in worship, your lit life is pursuing your future, and many are going to be turned off by it. But the ones that'll be turned off are the ones that eventually you will have to minister to. So don't be moved by men's opinions of you today, because hey, there is a people that you're called to, and though you may only be 21, you have a future and you have a purpose, and don't waste it. And so now she's taking her story, and I told her, she said, Ma, I think I want to write a book and tell my story. And I said, well, what is the book? Because if you're going to do anything, I believe that you need to do it in the time of God. And if you're going to do it, you need to stick with it. Don't ask me to coach you and then you take my investment and do what you want to do with it. No, if you're going to get coaches, you can't waste time. Don't waste their time. Don't waste their energy. Don't waste their resources, and don't waste their money. She got 4 coaches. And I said, listen, if you are going to do this, if you are serious serious, if you're going to put your story out, you have to know that it is going to come with some persecution. It is going to come with other people's opinion, but you're going to have to stay focused and finish the book. You finished the book. You started in June and you finished today?
Yes, I started in June and I finished.
And she finished her book today.
When I first started my book, it was on my phone in my notes. But then once I got a prophetic word from our apostle at her conference, it let me know that what I was telling my mom was a confirmation. I never told anyone that I wanted to write a book. No one ever thought that I was battling depression. From the things I post, people would think that my life was perfect. You get a lot of people who say, man, you raised your kid and, you know, you're doing your thing. But really, I was behind closed doors suffering. So I'm like, okay, I need to show them the real me. And that I've came a long way. I was crazy in the mind. Like, nothing could be wrong with me, but I felt like I was being attacked and I was fighting alone. And then once you get out of a breakup, you feel like you need to be with other people. You start looking at other men, and it doesn't necessarily be, you know, sexually, but you start to try to prove points to other people, like, I don't need him, I'm not hurt. And really, I was hurt. I was devastated. I was heartbroken, and I was looking for the next victim so that I can get them to be with me, and then I will make them feel the same way that my ex made me feel. I wanted them to be in pain because I was in pain. I was hurt. I was devastated, and my feelings was just, feel like it was just flushed away. I didn't have any more feelings. I was just numb to everything. I closed myself out from the world. And so if I put that into a book and, you know, other people will read it, it will give them the steps to get delivered. I really feel like this book is really going to change people's lives because I talked about so much, and it started from the roof where I came from, and then I go on into my transition. So
yeah, she wrote this book. I read it today. At first, I couldn't read the chapter about suicide because her book it gave a history of her life in our home. And there were so many funny parts because I didn't realize that I was that kind of mama. Like, yeah, you got to be in before the street lights, and don't make me call your name, because if I call your name, you are in trouble. And yeah, no, you can't spend the night at everybody's house, and no, you're not going to a party, and no, I don't let you spend the night even at your family member's house. And no, who's that mama? Like, I was that mama. And yeah, no, you take your lunch to school. I was that mama still sending lunches while they was in high school. I didn't even realize I was still packing lunches while the people was in high school. I was like, you don't want to eat that food. That food is bad. That mama just fixed your lunch. I was the mama that had breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. And so to read the story, I was so tickled. But then there were parts inside that she even watched our life in church, what that did to her too as well growing up, and how she felt about church and how she felt about church people and all of that stuff. So I had some weeping moments, but then I had laughter. I'll get to another chapter and I'll weep again, but then there'll be laughter. And so I read her book sitting in like 2.5 hours, reading the whole book, and it was amazing. And I just wanted to say to you that I am beyond proud of you. And I know that every prophetic word that you have gotten is your roadmap to your future. And I'm so glad that you're building this relationship with God, that you're able to see him for yourself and not just through the lenses of your mother and your father. And I'm glad you decided to fight for your life and live, because I don't know what we would have done without you, and it would have broke us. So thank you for choosing to live. Thank you for choosing to fight for your son. Thank you for fighting for your future. Thank you for thinking about other people outside of you. Thank you for not staying wounded. And thank you for choosing to fight for your heart where you're not full of bitterness and unforgiveness and ill will. Thank you, because you brighten up every aspect of our life. And we thank you. Your sister thanks you. Your sisters, your family thanks you. And mom and dad is proud, baby. We're proud of you. Your coaches, Sophia Ruffin and Tiffany. They thank you. They're super, super proud of you. And I know Jamal, Pastor Jamal and
Yes.
Natasha, they played a big part while you was on campus. They actually introduced you to God in a way that you had never seen before by taking you on trips and talking to you while you was on the campus and talking to you when you got back when you were pregnant. So if you are looking at this, Pastor Jamal and
I really
Tasha,
do thank
Natasha,
you guys.
thank you for looking out for my baby, and Apostle, thank you for prophesying to her and giving her a blueprint just in July that added on to what God is doing in her life. And so we wanted to do this scope to encourage every mother, every daughter, every person that is going through depression, suicidal thoughts, one, how to respond as a parent, and then two, how a child should have a go-to person if they not comfortable with coming to you yet because they don't know how you're going to really respond. And so, hey, may this Periscope and may this Facebook be a blessing to everyone that feel like you want to give up, that you're in a dark place, but you have to know that you're not by yourself. There are people that you can really talk to. Yes, mental health is an issue. You can go beyond just the church. You get the help that you need, but never get to a place where you isolate yourself because you'll become a prisoner of your own mind. And the devil loves to play with your mind because that's the battle. And so cry out and let people know that you are in a dark place, and go to somebody that you can trust. And mothers and fathers, teach your children if they can't come to you first, give them a go-to person. My go-to person was my best friend, Carolyn Marie Russell Wilson. Thank you for coaching my baby and counseling my baby. You've been knowing my baby since she was 5, and now she's 21. And so you have never turned my children away. You have always been a part of my children's life. You always gave them godly counsel, and you never hid anything from me concerning my children. And you even coached me on how to respond to my baby as well. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you, every last one of you. But most of all, we want to say thank you for choosing to live, and thank you for being a part of this Facebook broadcast, telling everybody about what God has done for you, because there is no shame in it. There is no condemnation in it. You my girl. And we bless you. We bless you. Tell everybody goodbye.
Well, good night, guys.
Good night.
And don't forget to follow me on Facebook at Michaela Cephas, and my Instagram is Michaela M. Cephas. And share this.
Share. Go back and replay, and I pray that it blesses each and every person that hears it. Share it with your nieces, share it with your nephews, because hey, some of these kids they are having sex. A lot of these kids are, and the consequences of it. And so share with your cousins and share with parents, and just share it with anyone that you could. God bless each and every one of you. Take care of you. I think I'm going to go have some peach cobbler. What about you?
Yep.
Bye.